Love. This thing called love is deeper than any ocean, broader and bigger than any universe. God, who is love, the origin of love, sees what we call love and shakes his head. Well, I can only imagine he does. When I read 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and compare what is exhibited by the world to what the Holy Spirit inspired words written in this chapter, I shake my head, even at myself, seeing how far I have fallen short in having the love God, the love master, describes. First of all, God's love is not based on feelings and emotions. It's a principle. It's who he is. It's his law. Love is the foundation of all that God is and all that God does. I have learned I need to cry for a new outpouring every day. The love that God describes can only be obtained, experienced as a reality when the Spirit of God is dwelling in our souls. The world would be a much better place, the brokenness in society mended, the dysfunctions functioning, families mended if God's love was in control. This self-sacrificing love is what Christ exhibited in his birth, life, death, resurrection, and now his interceding ministry in heaven before his Father. It's this love that overtakes those who truly accept Jesus, motivating them to seek the lost souls and bring them into the fold of the loving shepherd. If I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love for others growing out of God's love for me, then I have become only a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal, just an annoying distraction. What may sound or seem eloquent to us is hurting God's ears when it is not motivated by God's love. And if I have the gift of prophecy and speak a new message from God to the people, and understand all mysteries and possess all knowledge, and if I have all sufficient faith so that I can remove mountains, but do not have love, reaching out to others, I am nothing. There are times God uses someone like God used the covetous prophet Balaam in the Old Testament. The message benefits the people who hear, but not the messengers themselves. If I give all my possessions to feed the poor, and if I surrender my body to be burned, that I may glory, but do not have love, it does me no good at all. When reading these verses, they are written not for us to try to determine someone else's motivation, but for us to determine and make sure our own hearts are filled with God's love, the Holy Spirit. Love endures with patience and serenity. Love is kind and thoughtful and is not jealous or envious. Love does not brag and is not proud or arrogant. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not provoked, nor overly sensitive and easily angered. It does not take into account a wrong endured. When the flesh is alive, it responds to defend itself. But when we cry for the Holy Spirit to overtake our hearts, He will remove the buttons that people can push. It is a process. But when we cry to be surrendered, God will set up a standard that the demons and people cannot get past. Love, God's love in us, does not insist on its own rights or its own way. For it is not self-seeking. It is not touchy or fretful or resentful. It takes no account of the evil done to it. It pays no attention to a suffered wrong. The love of God in us allows God to defend, and we will leave vengeance in God's hands. It does not rejoice at injustice and unrighteousness, but rejoices when right and truth prevail. Love bears up under anything and everything that comes, is ever ready to believe the best of every person. Its hopes are fadeless under all circumstances, but it endures everything without weakening. Love also knows, because this love is the Spirit of God in us, when to separate from those who will only bring them harm. This love keeps us balanced. This love is temperate, Galatians 5:23. This same love wrote these words in Psalms 1:1. Blessed, fortunate, prosperous, and favored by God is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, following their advice and example, nor stand in the path of sinners, nor sit down to rest in the seat of scoffers, ridiculers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law, his precepts and teachings, he habitually meditates day and night. Psalms 1:1 and 2. And you know this law of God is about love. Love to God with all our hearts, minds, soul, and strength, and to love others as we do ourselves. Humanly, this love is impossible. But with God in the heart, all things are possible. This is when we can forgive from the heart. When we see how love forgives and forgave our dastardly, death-deserving sinfulness, we rejoice in the ability to be able to be free of the poison of unforgiveness and freely forgive others, no matter what they have done. God's love is what the world needs now. It's the only thing that there's just so little of. The racism, the bigotry, the marginalization, divorces, broken homes, rage, political upheavals, fraud, deceit and lies, wars, hatred, racial and ethnic inequities, robbery, blue-collar, white-collar, injustice, jealousy, envy, oppression, prison pipeline, sexual abuse, spousal abuse, child abuse, drug abuse, sexual trafficking, slave trafficking, drug trafficking, child and elderly neglect, all under the umbrella of selfishness. In actuality, all sin is under the umbrella of selfishness, which is the opposite of love. This whole battle of evil against good, Satan against God, boils down to us on earth choosing which side to be on, selfishness or love. Human love was tainted with selfishness in the garden, and Christ came to give us pure, unadulterated, unselfish love, which gives life everlasting. Love cries out, telling us this world will never let love, God's love, take control. It wants its selfishness. God says, "Come to me, all who are looking for love. I proved my love for you through my Son, who allowed himself to be murdered to pay for the selfish crimes of humanity. Now we're preparing a place for all who will, where selfishness will be no more." Grab hold of love. Grab hold of God. Let him have you. Then his love can heal and make you whole, and use you as an instrument to spread his love. This has been your host, Matthew Paris. I'm just sharing.